Welcome to the Albert Clark Show, a transformative podcast where we embark on a profound journey through the key themes of life. Join us as we delve into the rich narratives woven into the works of acclaimed author Albert Lynn Clark, known for his compelling novels Lightning and Thunder, A Miracle Love Story, and Ancient Destiny, Escape from Earth. In each episode, we will explore essential life topics such as miracles, love, hope, loss, destiny, and transformation. Through heartfelt discussions, personal stories, and insightful interviews with guests, Albert will guide us in understanding how these themes shape our lives and connect us to one another. Whether you're seeking inspiration, healing, or a deeper understanding of your own journey, this podcast is designed to resonate with your heart and mind. Tune in as we celebrate the currents of life that unite us all, illuminating the path toward love, hope, and personal growth.
A testament of faith, a beacon of light.
Hello, this is Albert Clark. It's just a discussion on love. What is love? How do you know love? What do you want out of love? What, where are you going with this? Okay, well, let's start out. I love a lot of things. I love sausage and gravy with over fresh biscuits. If it's got a lot of sausage in the gravy and the biscuits are fresh, that's great. But tomorrow I might prefer French toast and bacon. Or maybe I would prefer cereal the next day. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of fickle on breakfast, but I have a tendency to eat the same things pretty much all the time because it's easy. And that's one of the clues too is love easy? Well, maybe not. Okay, what else do I love? Well, I love driving a little two-seater sports car through the mountains. That's a lot of fun, but cars don't last very long, especially if you're driving them hard. You damage the functional engine or transmission or whatever in the car. Maybe you have an accident, decide you don't like driving in the mountains anymore. Uh, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong with that love. I have a dog. I love my dog. Uh, Unfortunately, my dog is only going to last 10 to 15 years, and then the dog will get sick and die, and that will make me all broken up, and I'll think maybe dogs are put on this earth to teach us to love something and to be loved, but that it can't last forever. But I don't want to get married for 10, 15 years, and the average marriage only lasts 8 years. That's not true love. That's not lasting love. That's not the love you want for forever until you die. So let's look around a little bit more. What else do you love? Oh, I love going to the movies, but I wouldn't want to go to the movies to the same movie every day. Matter of fact, I seldom watch a movie twice. I love reading books. I read lots and lots of books. I've read hundreds of books. And I'll probably always like reading books. But gee, my eyesight might fail where I can't read books anymore. Okay, hopefully not. I'm wearing glasses now, as you can tell, but I can still see pretty good. As a matter of fact, I don't need glasses for driving, and I still like driving long distances. So I will frequently, every few weeks, I will take a long drive where I drive some way for 4 or 5 hours, see whatever I want to see there, and drive home 4 or 5 hours to get back home just because I like the open road. I like the freedom of being out on the open road without traffic. But again, that's not something I can do all the time, or I'd be over the road truck driver, and I wouldn't want that either because that's not a good life. Uh, so I I go to a bar and I see a pretty girl. Does she have a boyfriend already? Do I fall in love with every girl I see? No, I don't, obviously. That's not love. That's lust. And that's where people get into trouble in that they lust after a girl or a guy and they lose sight of what you really want? Do you try to have sex with everybody you see on a daily basis, a different one every day, and you end up with some diseases that are not curable as a result of that? Uh, or do you get rolled for your money, or get in serious trouble as a woman? Uh, anyway, that's not a very good way to go, and that's not love. That's feeling close to somebody to have sex, but it's not love. Love is something a whole lot different. Love is wanting to be with somebody all the time, everywhere. My uh, parents and my parents-in-law uh, lived to be married for over 60 years, and they were still in love when they died. So that's a whole different ballgame there. Uh, and okay, how much do you like being together? Do you want separate bedrooms? Well, that's not exactly love. Maybe that's convenience. Maybe you can share the rent. Maybe you can share the groceries and occasionally go somewhere together. But that's not really love. Uh, or would you prefer a standard double-sized bed where every time you roll over, you touch the other person by accident or deliberately just to make sure they're still there? Um, you go for drives just to be together without the radio playing. You're not going somewhere just to listen to the radio or satellite radio and listen to your 1980s, 1990s music or 1960s music or whatever. You're going for a long drive to be able to experience whatever you're looking for and to be able to be together and talk about whatever. You're not restricted to just driving or what you're seeing. You can talk about religion, or you can talk about kids, or you can talk about what you'd like to do, or maybe talk about a future vacation where you're going for an even longer drive, or a flight to another country, or maybe a cruise ship. Uh, if you go on a cruise, you want to be together every minute on the cruise, where you sleep together in your room and then you get up and eat breakfast together and you eat lunch together. And if the ship has side trips off to see whatever on shore, do you want to go together? Do you want to go to the same things? Do you want to go to the shows on the ship in the evenings? Do you want to go dancing on the ship? You can do all those things together as a couple. So, or are you looking for something else on a cruise ship? I doubt it. Uh, you talk about the Love Boat on television. Well, cruise ship has tendency to be that way because uh, you may eat at a common table with other couples, but again, you're the couple. You sit together, even though the other couples are also at the same table, but they're sitting together also. And maybe they will become friends that will last for years and years, but they're just friends. They're not your spouse. They're not your mate. So, do you like to go to amusement parks? Do you want to go on roller coasters? Well, maybe roller coasters isn't the best thing because guys have a tendency to like roller coasters more than girls do. But maybe it's like Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida, where they have a huge zoo area and they have shopping and they have shows where famous people will have animals on the center stage and show off the animals and what they're really about. Or maybe they'll have a comedy show with animals doing most of the action and just a person talking as if they were the animals and interacting with each other. You enjoy that kind of things together. But you read the same kind of books. You enjoy reading the books. Um, if you don't have any television or anywhere to go, do you read books to each other, where you take turns reading the next chapter or whatever? Uh, 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 what are your politics? Do you agree with politics? Is somebody very liberal and the other one is extremely conservative, or are you both middle of the road? Do you get along with politics? How about religion? Are one of you overly religious where you've got to go to church 3 times a week and pray all the time, or are you not religious at all? Are you compatible with each other in religion? Do you go frequently but not all the time to church, or do you never go to church? There's all those things that you got to worry about if it's a long-term relationship that's going to last forever and ever. Then there's uh, uh, the love of or thrills of skydiving or whitewater rafting. Or I like most of those. I'm not going to jump out of an airplane with a parachute. And no thanks. I've flown airplanes and I prefer to come down to earth in a plane rather than waste a perfectly good airplane when I give up trying to fly it. Or just to jump out of an airplane for the thrill. No, I'm not in for the thrills. A little excitement is fun. Do like river rafting, but I don't do it all the time. And I've only done it once in a really spectacular way, but uh, that was quite fun. I said, well, that was the ultimate in river rafting. I don't need to do anymore, although it was fun that time. I like walking in the mountains, just walking on a mountain trail. High altitude doesn't particularly bother me, so I don't mind climbing up a mountain. I'm not going to climb with ropes and gear. And so why would I would do that if there's a trail that I can walk up? I prefer to walk up the mountain on a trail and see the animals and the trees and the sights off to the side and so forth. I like driving in the mountains, as I mentioned before. Uh, I So, what is love? How do you find love? Do you go to a bar and pick up a girl or a guy and plan on going to bed with them that night? I don't think so. That's not me. Uh, I'm looking for something permanent. Same, trying to think of something else to say along those lines. Uh, love is something that you feel deep down in your heart. You're going to love that person as long as they can talk with you, as long as they can communicate with you in some way. And uh, that good morning that you get, like on a text or on Facebook or a telephone call, is not the same as being with that person and having them say good morning to you or good night. Are they healthy? Hopefully, it's a lot nicer if both people are relatively healthy. But again, sex is not a thing that is important. Uh, a person may have an accident where they really can't have sex for months at a time because of an injury, or maybe it's some kind of surgery that they had. And keep in mind that the children might not live forever. They might die before you do. Are you going to give up on your spouse if you lose a child? Well, losing a child would be absolutely terrible, tear you up, even worse than having your favorite dog die. It's human, it's part of you, but it happens. And the question is, do you still love your spouse? And do you still commiserate with your spouse and go on with your lives? Maybe there's other things that will happen that will change things around. Uh, Remember, your children are going to leave when they're 18 anyway. So, but your spouse is there for another 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Say with my parents, it was 60 years before they died. And they still loved each other at the end of that 60 years. So I hope that you think twice about love. Don't go for attractiveness, the beautiful girl that's all sexy and so forth might end up weighing 200 pounds when in their 50s. And same thing with the guy. He may be an athlete when he's in his 20s and 30s, but he gets fat and weighs 350 pounds as he gets older. Or maybe they take care of themselves for their partner. Maybe the woman stays the same throughout life. Maybe the guy never gets old and fat. Uh, my wife Wade was 5'0", a very tiny woman, but she was fierce. Uh, and everybody loved her. I used to get jealous the first few years. Then I finally decided that there's no point in that because every guy that ever met her fell in love with her and would have a tendency to forget their spouse if they could talk to her just for a few minutes. So I gave up trying to be jealous because she wasn't going to go anywhere. I wasn't going to look for anybody else. And uh, but she was just that she had that magnetic personality. She had a beautiful smile. She looked right at you, looked into your eyes. Uh, she could handle huge horses that nobody else could ride, and she could get on that horse and it would obey her immediately. Just she could just lean forward or back, side to side, and guide the horse without even using reins. As a matter of fact, she liked to ride bareback a lot of the time, and the horse would take her commands with body movements, and yet nobody else could ride the horse. So she was that kind of a personality, um, and I was always proud of her. Uh, and say jealousy just didn't work because it's got to be a fact of life that everybody loved my wife, even the women loved my wife. So anytime she'd join a women's group, she was usually the president shortly thereafter, or the secretary, or the treasurer, or whatever. And uh, but we didn't want to be apart ever. If I was in one room reading a book and she was in watching television, uh, I would have to get up and go check on her about every 30 minutes just to make sure she's still there, even though she never went anywhere. But anyway, uh, and if I didn't come out coming in to look at her, for her, she would come out looking for me to see, make sure I was okay. And that's true love. So whatever you want in life, be careful what you want. Having a lot of boyfriends, a lot of girlfriends doesn't make sense. You want to have somebody that's there for you for life, that cares about you, that worries about you, your health, worries about your happiness. Uh, do you do things to make your spouse happy? Do you take her to a movie? Do you insist that your husband goes to an action movie that he would like, even though you don't particularly like that kind of action movie? Uh, and as a husband, do you take her to love movies? uh, so uh, we did a lot of things. We traveled a lot. We went to uh, we lived in two other countries besides this one. Uh, we lived in 8 states together because of moving around with my job, but we were always together. So keep in mind what love is and be looking for it, but be cautious. You have to get to know the person that you marry. You want to know who they are. Are they that way all the time, or do they have uh, alternate personality sometimes, or are they always the same and always the one you want to marry? So 10 years from now, will you still want to marry them? 20 years from now, will you still want to marry them? 50 years from now, will you still want to marry them? That's somebody that you live with forever. It's not a dog that dies in 10, 15 years. It's not a child that leaves home at 18. It's not a house that you might have to move from. It's not anything that isn't permanent, but that love should be a permanent feature. So with that, I'll say goodbye, and I have no idea what my next talk will be, but I'll find out. You'll find out. So, goodbye for now. And
Lightning